Hello CMA, welcome to my blog for this month. This month I want to talk about education. A few weeks ago I was at the ICHRIE conference. ICHRIE stands for International Council of Hospitality and Restaurant Institutional Educators. It's a mouthful, but it's basically the hospitality professors and the deans. And I sat through a session that spoke about state of university education programs. And part of the reason I was at ICHRIE was I serve on a advisory committee from industry. So I got to speak about clubs, but it was also great for me to sit in on programs. So the state of the industry started with the stress that university programs are under. And this stress has been caused by one, increase in tuition, which has created this huge amount of debt. 43 million Americans hold some 1.8 trillion in student debt. It also talked about declining fees at universities. Over the past 10 years, revenue across universities has declined about 20%, from about 20.5 million to 16.8 million. Several thousand universities have either gone out of business or currently aren't financially viable. And so there's a lot of flux here and a lot of challenges that the university system is under. One of these is that because of the rising costs of a four-year degree, companies are looking at alternatives, and those alternatives come in various forms. One is two-year programs, and then with a two-year program, companies are looking to augment their education with other credentialing or other certificates or certifications. And that really was the crux of this conversation. What the speaker said was that there are now some 59,000 providers providing some 1 million types of credentials. Those credentials can be certificate programs or credentials like the CCM. CMA is one of these providers and has been doing this for some 55 plus years. And it's typical as a professional association that we would be doing this as caretakers of the profession and on your behalf, since you are the owners of CMA. However, what's happening is that there are more and more for-profit businesses getting involved with this and doing all sorts of certificate and credentialing programs, really with the sole purpose of to make money. And while they may educate, their focus is on taking revenue, and that revenue is being taken away from the universities. So the universities feel that they need to get into the business of doing these credentials and doing more and more certificate programs and partnering with business. What I saw was that one university has divided hospitality up into 24 quadrants, which seemed a little bit overwhelming to me. And when I got to actually understand it, they're looking at sporting events as a quadrant. They're looking at healthcare hospitality as another quadrant. They're looking at theme parks as another quadrant of hospitality. So they're in the process of developing not only four-year degree programs that cover this, but associate degree programs and certificates and other things. So they're looking to maximize their revenue by being a one-size-fits-all for any student potentially coming in, but also then an employer that also wants to use their programs. So ICHRIE is pushing this concept. They're saying that this is one of the ways that universities are going to survive. But truly the message that I want to share with you that was very key was that with all these providers coming into this business and these for-profit businesses doing this, there is a need for anybody taking education or any employer sending their team to education that is for a certificate program or a credential to make sure they do their due diligence and make sure it makes sense. Make sure that this is exactly what your team needs or you need, and make sure that there are good intent behind it. One of the things I heard was an AV provider that provides AV services nationally is providing a half a dozen certificate programs, one in lighting, one in stage setting, one in sound. Makes a lot of sense, and certainly probably a good educational program, but it's also being designed to create a lifelong customer if you take one of these certificate programs. So My message to you is do your due diligence, make sure it makes sense as you look at this. And this is a changing environment that will continue to change in the coming years, and CMAA will be watching it, and I wanted to make you aware so that you can watch this space too. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next month.